Gaming Geek here with another crowdfunding project called Fantastic Plants and Rocks Volume 2. I was a backer for the original Kickstarter, and this time around it is being crowdfunded on MyMiniFactory. And I was contacted not by Emmanuel from PrintYourMonsters who created these files, but actually by MyMiniFactory. Mateo was the one who contacted me if I would be willing to do a video for their crowdfunding project, and I was happy to do so, but they did send me these files just for full disclosure. I'm going to be sharing with you just this project, and we're going to go over to the computer in a little bit so that we can walk you through, because I didn't know that MyMiniFactory actually did crowdfunding. And so I'm glad that there are now alternatives to Kickstarter, also GameFound and some other crowdfunding platforms. So that is always good for us as consumers to have choices. So hopefully this will push along the development of crowdfunding platforms specifically for us as gamers and for hobbyists. Also, in return for doing one of these videos, MyMiniFactory did agree to give some of our Patreon supporters a discount code to be used for anything that you can find on MyMiniFactory. So check out my Patreon page if you wanted to get in on that. Just like the first project, the second crowdfunding project by PrintYourMonsters is creating these small terrain or scatter terrain that you can have, and it's super unique. I'd always been looking for some alien-like plants, and that's why I jumped in on the first Kickstarter, because they have some really unique or larger or alien-like plants and rocks that you can put on your wargaming terrain or your RPG games. And I jumped in on that, especially since the base pledge is so cheap. And the same thing is occurring here, but this time around, rather than having two separate pledges, they are combining both the plants and rocks into one pledge, which I think is smart, because I think most people opted for that anyway in the first crowdfunding platform. The amount of detail that's found on these models is amazing, and of course you can scale these up to as big or as little as you want. I printed these out at 100% on my Cheaty Tech Shadow 5.5S. If you want to see that video, go ahead and check that out here. And these painted up really quickly. I am not providing a painting tutorial, but it was really simple and easy for me to paint these up, and it was actually a lot of fun too. Check out the level of detail that's on this little rune rock. It looks like an actual rock. And again, because I printed on my resin printer, you can't tell that this was 3D printed. The quality is so good. And I wanted to print out this sort of clump of grass just to see how well it would print. And as you can see, it looks amazing and is quite sturdy. So I really wanted to see what level of detail or if there would be any failure, but on all of these prints, they become pre-supported, and I didn't really have any fails as I was printing these out. Now, I would suggest, and this is something that I tend to do even with pre-supported STL files, is I increase the number of supports that are on these flat sides, because I found that if you don't put enough, it tends to separate away and it will bow out like this. So I always add extra supports on the underneath of these flat sides, but other than that, I didn't add any other supports to the rest of the models, and I think they printed out beautifully with no fails. I do have this 28mm miniature just to show you the scale comparison. And again, you can scale these to as large or as little as you want, and I think they turned out amazing. I printed out 3 of these obelisks because I wanted them to be cool objectives on the battle board. And these already have unlocked as stretch goals, and I just love the look of them. So overall, you're going to have a ton more. This is just a small sample of what's going to be available in the core set as well as stretch goals. So let's go ahead and go over to the computer, and I can show you the campaign. I can walk you through MyMiniFactory, as I think many of you, that is a new place to do crowdfunding and supporting. So let's check that out now. So I am familiar with MyMiniFactory because typically this is where I have fulfillment of all of my STL files. So as you can see here, this is typically where I go to grab and download the STL files after campaign. So you can see a couple of the ones that I have done in the past, including the original Fantastic Plants and Rocks. So I've always known this place. Also, there's a store and you can purchase a bunch of files here. So this is sort of my go-to place to purchase STL files, in particular for resin printed miniatures. But if we go over here, there are a number of campaigns that they are running or have run. And again, I didn't know any of this before. I did back City of Furwood, but that campaign was on Kickstarter, and they are fulfilling through MyMiniFactory. And you can, if you haven't seen my video that I did last week highlighting this campaign, go ahead and click up here to the right of the screen. But we are here to talk about this campaign, and let me show you really quickly. When you click on here, and again, links are all in the descriptions below, and after only 1 day, because I am filming on Wednesday, January 27th, and this campaign started yesterday, we already have over 1,000 backers and $41,000 pledged, which is amazing. So this is a very successful campaign, and a lot of people are backing this. And for me, I know as a backer of the first volume, I did receive a discount of 15% for the first 72 hours. So I'm sure that's getting in a lot of traffic. Now, once you go to this page, you'll notice a number of differences from Kickstarter. You have these different places that you can click on, the different pledges. So you're not going to see the pledges here to the right that you normally do with Kickstarter. The other thing that you need to note is I don't think this updates automatically. So let me go ahead and refresh this page, see if it changes at all. But I think you have to refresh the page in order for this to update. And this basically here allows you to skip to the part of the page that is describing each one of these. So these are sort of like chapter links where as soon as you click on it, it will take you further down, or you can just scroll down like I do. So let's go ahead and take a look at this campaign. Again, Emmanuel from PrintYourMonsters has been producing STL files, in particular miniatures. And if you want to check out his Patreon page, go ahead and click here. Let me show that to you really quickly. That as you can see here, there's a lot of files that he provides for his Patreon members. Actually, there's 3 different levels that you can join. This is for the merchant so that you can sell whatever you print, but you have basically an $8 and a $10, with the $10 being different in being pre-supported. So check that out at your own leisure if you're interested in that. But don't worry, all of the files that you're going to be getting here through the campaign is pre-supported. And then this is a gift for previous backers. You are able to get the scatter terrain with these grass bases. And then if you wanted to check it out, you can download these witch ornaments and print them out to see the quality that's there. So here is the core set. So you're getting 20 different sets, which I think is amazing for the price. And we'll go to the pledge levels at a later time, but this is quite a good variety and pretty different from the first campaign. So I'm glad that they didn't just rehash what they did in the original campaign, because these are pretty different. They're like these pumpkins look pretty cool. I printed out these rocks. If I had any game that was supposed to be underwater, I think these coral sets would be awesome along with this down here, but I just don't have any games that are underwater. And then these are just pictures of each of the individual sets. So I printed out this centerpiece here, showed that to you, and then also printed out one of these as well. I'm not 100% sure whether or not this is real paint. It looks like it could be, but it also could be colorized images. I'm not 100% sure, but you can definitely get that level of detail when you print them out. And whoever painted these, obviously I think used an airbrush and chose to paint them pretty brightly. These are pretty cool for naval games. And this is the coral that I'm talking about, which looks pretty amazing. Okay, so here we're getting into the stretch goals, and because they've already raised $40,000, we're already down to, I think the enchanted obelisks are about to unlock, and those were the black obelisks that I showed you that I painted. So all of these look pretty cool as well. Because this campaign is going to be so successful, for a relatively cheap price, you are getting a ton of different options. So I think it is pretty worth it if you are interested in any of the scatter terrain. This is really interesting to have sort of this pixelated trees. And these are the pieces that I really like a lot. Typically, I don't get add-ons in most of the crowdfunding campaigns because they tend not to be that great of a deal. Here I might actually jump in on some of these because these are little sort of scenarios that would look great both in a game as well as in your display case. And relatively cheap, only $11 for each add-on pack. So this is sort of the Egyptian themed with these giant scorpions. And then here we have giant worms, sort of like Dune. And I would be actually more interested in this underwater pack, more for these larger outcroppings, although I'm not sure if they would fit on my smaller resin printer bed. But more than the creature itself, I would be interested in getting some of this other terrain that's in the background. Again, I don't have any games that are underwater, but these look so cool, I'm tempted to actually get into that. Here's the Bones Abomination with these ruins that look pretty cool. And then this probably is one of my favorite sets. I would probably get this one. It's these giant spiders with sort of this crypt opening and the scatter terrain over here. I really like this one a lot. I like how they painted it too. It looks pretty amazing. And then here is the swamp creature. So each one of these I like because they can be a little diorama that is in your case in addition to being part of your campaign. Here is the jungle darkness. This could almost be more like an alien. And that is pretty much it. So if you wanted to pledge, you can either click down here in this window that's opened up or go up here and it tells you what the pledge levels are. Now, I am filming again on Wednesday, but I'm posting on Friday, so probably this early bird price will be more than what I'm showing you here. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to be, possibly another $5 added to each of these pledges. I'm not 100% sure, but by the time you see this video, even if it is higher than this, like the original Plants and Volumes, they are selling that for $21. So even if this is $21 or more, it is, I think, totally worth it just to get the base core set because you're getting so many files. Again, if you're not interested in having this scatter terrain, obviously you might not want to do it, but you're getting so much, if you are, and a ton of variety that I think would fit almost any game, that this is actually a really good deal. And then if you did want all of the add-ons, then purchasing all of that for about this price also is a good deal. And then finally, for only, at least based on this price, $10 more, that includes the Volume 1 Plants and Rocks. So that is, I think, if you haven't gone in on the first campaign, that is a no-brainer just to add another $10 to have everything from the first campaign. And then you can buy these individually. So this price up here, the $18 must be how much it is for you to just buy the set on its own. And what it's saying is, if you're going to buy it during this campaign, then it is only $11. So that's a pretty good discount. So clearly, if you do want these, now is the time to grab these. So let's say that you do want to pledge. Let's say you want to go in on this all in. So you just click the pledge. And that takes you here. Again, those of us who backed before, we received a discount code, so we can apply that here for 15% off. Again, that expires probably this Friday. And then you click pay, and it takes you to payment. So that's pretty much it in terms of pledges. You click up here for updates. There haven't been any updates yet. And then there's a comments page here as well. So there you have it. Please like and subscribe. And again, check out my Patreon page to see if you are going to be chosen by Bob the Beholder for one of the GGGGs. Each month, Bob the Beholder picks a couple of my Patreon supporters to receive this month's prize. And for the month of January of 2021, we're going to be giving away a good number of cardboard terrain. Again, check out this video if you want to see what that is. But for the month of February, we are going to be giving away some discount codes for MyMiniFactory, so check that out if it's past January. Happy gaming, happy hobbying, and we'll see you next time.